What's up, guys? Not sure when you guys are going to see this versus when I'm recording it, so hopefully everything will still be relevant. There's been a lot of talk recently, both on various blogs, YouTube channels doing videos, etc., about and on the topic of a potential civil war in America. And I kind of felt like I needed to put my 3 cents out. Well, let me correct myself. I wanted to put my 3 cents out there just because with a lot of what I'm seeing, I'm finding things that people are saying that I agree with, but I'm also finding them saying a lot of things that I think are inaccurate or not quite on target. My thoughts and opinion are no more or less important than anybody else's, so I'm just throwing this out here for you to mull around in your own mind and make your own decisions. So up front, we are extremely divided as a nation right now. I would say probably more so than in the late 1800s. And we're divided along more hardened, distinctive lines. We're hardened and divided to deeper levels and extent. And we're also divided no longer regionally, but individually, if that makes sense. And here's some of the problems that I'm seeing now. I'm doing this just off the cuff, guys, so I'm going to try to keep this as coherent as I can. Just know it ahead of time. You guys know I don't do scripts and such to begin with anyway. I generally try to give a little thought to what I'm putting out there before I do it. This one's a little more impromptu, so bear with me. I'll try not to wander you through the weeds too much, but here it is. Some of the problems that I see, on one hand, you've got people who are examining this and looking at it purely from a ideological and political perspective. Right versus left, conservatives versus liberals, Republicans versus Democrats, etc., etc. And I don't think you can do that. It's far, far more complex and far, far deeper than just that right versus left mindset. There are dozens of different mindsets here within each side of those two big sides, and there's really more than just those two big sides. So it's a really complex setup that I don't think personally that you can apply that kind of logic to when you're examining the topic, especially in determining who would win such a conflict. Equally so, I've got problem with those who try to examine it from a military standpoint, from like what a military intelligence, that sort of thing would do. You can't analyze this like you would another country or an opposing army or whatever, because there are all things that come into play when you're talking about another nation state or another formed military that are completely unapplicable to this situation. I think it's easy to go down that rabbit hole, and there are some aspects that you can apply, but I think overall you can. It's dangerous to try to analyze it under that set of circumstances just as much as the previous one I mentioned. What I'm looking at is we've got the ingredients for a massive civil conflict. It may be semantics. I don't know. I haven't really formed a concrete opinion on this. But it might be inaccurate to call it a potential civil war. A civil war usually dictates that there are, lines of opposing sides, very distinct, etc. North versus south, east versus west, country versus country, state versus state. I don't think that's what we're going to see. I think if it happens, it will be massive civil chaos. I believe it's going to be such a micro level, comparatively speaking, to, for example, the first Civil War, that it blows all the previous conventional thoughts on it out the window. You're going to have neighbor against neighbor, neighborhoods against neighborhoods. It's going to be that small. You will have, grabbing numbers out of thin air, you'll have 10 or 15 different factions in a given state going against each other. Maybe even a given city going against each other. In every city and state in the Union. So the lines will be so blurred as to who's on whose side and who's the enemy. It's going to be chaotic. I mean, it really will be chaotic. Which is bad. How do you know who's friend and who's not? How do you know who's the foe and who's not? It's one of the things people are looking at are the potential combatants, term used loosely. Now, everybody likes to say, and I understand why they say it, and to a certain extent they have a point, but again, I don't think here you can apply those traditional things. Everybody's fat, dumb, and happy right now, and you can't get people to leave their living rooms to go to a political rally, much less get them to take up arms and start shooting. I think the problem with that fallacy is you're applying right now and them proactively doing something versus if all heck breaks loose and them being forced to reactively do something. Even the fattest, dumbest, laziest, uninvolved American Idol Dancing with the Stars couch guru out there will have no choice but to either take action or die when bullets are flying through his front door in his front yard from others who have gotten involved in whatever's going on. People will be forced to then, they'll either die or they will be forced to react to it. The catch is going to be who and what sets it off. Will it be an intentional action, or will it be an intentional or unintentional reaction? There's so many variables, and I think that's probably the bottom line here. There are so many variables with multiple aspects of each variable that I don't think you can war game this. I really don't. The bottom line conclusion that I can offer to you is we're very divided. We are teetering on very dangerous times. There's no signs of it getting better, only signs of it getting significantly worse. And you may not go to the fight, but that don't mean the fight won't go to you. And at that point, like I said, you'll be forced to react to whatever's going on. Everybody will. You won't have a choice. It doesn't matter that you would much rather be watching football, drinking beer, and scarfing down hamburgers. You won't have a choice. None of us will. And I think that's the biggest issue I have with some of the stuff that people are throwing out there, especially in trying to analyze and determine who would win. Who would win very well may be determined by a whole lot of just blind, stupid luck. Okay? Yes, you can analyze things that people on the right, usually, again, you're going to have 10 different factions just on the right, are generally the ones better trained, better armed, etc. That doesn't mean there's not a lot on the left who are. I've encountered a lot of people with very leftist, polar opposite ways of thinking of myself that are armed and have some training. Not as many, but there are. The problem is, and I've mentioned this before, even amongst those that don't have the training and whatnot, relatively easy for them to arm themselves, especially if somebody armed them. And you've got to remember this. They do not have to be good to ruin the day of someone you love or care about, or ruin your own day. The only thing they have to be is lucky one time. That one spray and pray bullet that they send your way that finds its mark, completely unintentional, with no amount of skill on their part, will still leave you just as dead as if they were the best sniper in the world and aimed the shot to put it in you. You'll be just as dead. The dead will be the same either way. Whether it was luck or skill won't matter. There's a lot of people been killed by being unlucky, okay? Do not take that as a, oh, well, we'll mow them down if they start this nonsense. No, you won't. There'll be a lot of people die on both sides. It is something that we all should be praying fervently does not happen, because it will be messy. Excuse me. It will be extraordinarily bad. Because once it starts, that'll be the proverbial Pandora's box that's going to open up a whole pile of other issues that are going to come in on top of whatever trips that off. Bottom line, from me, you do what's right for you. Keep preparing just like always. Practice, train, prepare. Stock your supplies, food, water, medicine, medical, more medical. And then when you think you have enough, get some more medical. Ammo, mags, extra guns. Lots of training. Did I mention get a lot of training? And by training, not just in shooting a gun, but shooting a gun accurately in a real fight, working as a team, working with friends and family as a group, training on how to use those medical supplies, training on how to grow food, training on how to communicate in various ways, training on how to survive out of a nice air-conditioned house if you need to, training on anything you can find to get relative training on. That's going to be the bottom line. Train, 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 prepare, 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 and pray, pray, pray that we never need it. Because needing it's going to be bad. I hope I didn't get you guys too lost in the weeds, but again, I don't even think we can call what we're potentially looking at here as a civil war. As I said, it's going to be more like just civil chaos. And that'll be bad. That'll be really bad. Oh, final thought. This applies to what I've said in the past just on your regular preparedness. Stop worrying about the government or military, okay? The government and military is going to be every bit as 15 ways from Sunday fractured as the rest of the population, just like I said. There won't be a military or a government for you to be concerned with. The military you're going to be concerned with will be the couple of guys that are your neighbors. Same with law enforcement, etc. They're going to be taking care of their stuff just like everybody else will. And within the military and law enforcement and the government, again, they are just as divided ideologically, politically, personally, as all the rest of us are, okay? There are all types in all those different areas. So you can't say that the military will side one way or the other, or that law enforcement will side one way or the other, or that the government will do this, that, or the other. The government ain't going to do jack crap, okay? The government is impotent. Without the military and law enforcement, and even with the military and law enforcement, look at the sheer numbers, people. There's not enough military and law enforcement combined to take over an entire state in the Union, the continental United States, and maybe a couple of the smaller states. But some of the bigger states, there's not enough. They physically don't have the manpower if every single one of them showed up, and we already know that that ain't going to happen. So take that off your list. Don't worry about the government. They're going to have their own problems to deal with. Military's not going to be a factor. Law enforcement's not going to be a factor. Plan and prepare accordingly, and go from there. So that's my 2 wooden nickels. I might have thrown in a plastic penny or 2 in there. I'm not sure. I kind of lost count of where we were at on the financial scale of this rant. Which, well, it's a rant. It's just more me rambling. Maybe ramble's better. Because I know some of you guys hate it when I ramble, but some of you like it. So you guys are the good ones. There it is, guys. That's just serious note stuff I wanted to throw out there for you guys to, when you're watching these other videos and you're considering this stuff and pondering it, talking about it amongst yourselves with your own friends and family. Add this to the back of your mind and to your thoughts, okay? Or not. You don't have to. Free country. Take care, guys. As soon as I can think of something else to talk to you about, I'll be back. Have a good one.